Okay, so I want to welcome you to Captain Soterio's Boating Class 101 Basic Seamanship. Uh, be a badass, don't be a jackass at the dock. Okay, something I wanted to touch on with the terminology was you've got port and you got starboard, bow and stern. You've also got forward and aft, and that's just the way of describing the location of things on the boat. Like for example, two boats have two steering helms. You got one here, and then some will have one in the back if it's a working boat. So you've got a forward steering and you've got an aft steering. It's just something to help locate things on a boat. Same with the lines. That cleat is forward of this cleat, this imaginary cleat, and then this cleat is aft of the rest of the cleats. Okay, moving on. Okay, so you've got a good sized boat, and then you've got a single engine or single screw. You've got a stern drive, which is good, it'll help, but you really want to act like it's an inboard engine. And especially after you get comfortable with the boat, you're going to realize that you're going to have to do certain things to maneuver the boat a little bit easier. Like Mark, when he had us out on the water, he had a certain way that he went about leaving the dock and coming into the dock. It worked for him. He's got some experience with it. And you're going to have to test out what's going to work better for you too. But there's a proper way of doing things, and it's not necessarily about being proper, but it's about knowing how to use the ropes to get the boat to the dock the right way. And if you do a simple mistake, the wind is gonna make you its bitch pretty much. And you don't want that. You want to look like you know what you're doing at the dock. You don't want to look like an idiot. Too many people just come to the dock and they don't know what they're doing. They don't understand what these ropes mean. So I want to give a breakdown of them and pretty much a simple docking procedure that will help you out in your case, because you just got a single screw. If you have twin screws, you can use one direction, one the other direction. It'll do most of the work for you. But in this case, you don't. And it's not a big deal. But there's a way to do it, and it'll be easier. Okay, so. First and foremost, every situation is going to change because the way the wind blows and the way the current is going. Now, freshwater application, you're not necessarily going to have current. I don't know how it is in the Columbia River. I don't think it's as much current as the ocean, for sure, definitely. And I've made some mistakes myself about being in lake water where I'm ready to compensate for the current and I don't do it properly. Anyway, just because I'm ready for the current and it's not there. So what the wind is going to do to your boat is it's going to push your bow first. So the wind is blowing, let's see, right now it's blowing kind of at me like this. So no matter what, the bow is going to turn like this. And the stern is not going to turn around completely. The boat will not do 180 degrees. What will happen is the boat will kind of go like this, perpendicular to the wind, and it'll probably drift like this. But you want, when you're going in the wind, you just want to make sure that you control the nose of the bow. Okay, so let's say you're coming in the dock. We're not going to worry about the wind just yet. But we're going to do a starboard tie-up, right? And you've got 3 lines that I've got rigged up here. This boat, it doesn't have, it's so small, right? You've got this forward cleat here. It's for the bow. And then you've got a stern cleat here. And I just tied this up here because bigger boats, they have 3 or 4 cleats. What you'll have on bigger boats is you'll have a bow cleat, right? You'll have a midship cleat, right? You'll have another midship cleat, and you'll have a stern cleat. Now the 2 midship cleats here and here are for spring lines. Alright, so let's say you're coming in for a starboard tie-up, and most cases you're gonna put the bow in to the dock first, and at an angle a little bit, whatever is going to be manageable, and every boat is going to be a little bit different on what you're going to your crew needs to be able to get off the boat safely somehow. So you're going to have to adapt whatever is easiest again. But this is a simple procedure that most boats should be doing. A lot of people, I think, don't do it. But so this, let's say this is the midship cleat, and that's all I got. So sometimes they're way back here, but I'm going to call this my midship cleat. And this is the first line you want to tie up when you bring your bow in. Person's going to get off the dock, right, and they're going to take this line and they're going to take it this direction aft. You want to pull it this direction aft. And you've got this spring line going aft. What it's going to do is it's going to pull the bow into the dock, right? You've got control of the whole boat with just this one cleat. One guy at the helm and one guy holding this line. You've got the whole boat under control. Even if you don't have these two lines or any other line, you've got the boat. You don't want to go this way with it. You do not want to go this way with it. When you're docking up, right, and you're trying to hug in the stern, you don't want this line to go this direction. It can be this direction. It'll be okay. But what you're looking for is to pull it this direction. And the way I have it tied up here, don't worry about that. As long as it's secure. And yeah, there's a right way of doing that. It's mainly for quick and easy access. But let's say you got this guy, right? Now, depending on the situation, how many boats you got in front of you is gonna change things. But you can have it really long if you need to, or it can be short. The shorter it is, I think, the less effective it is, for sure, but it's still gonna do something. It's still gonna help you. The fact is that it's coming this way, and this is your spring line. Now, this, I'm telling you, I remember the first time somebody told me that this is the first line that you should be tying up to the dock. Naturally, you're gonna look at your midship cleat on your boat. I've already taken a look at it, and you're gonna think, no, that just doesn't look natural. It's not gonna feel right. And when Tina and I were bringing in the Tina Marie crab boat one time in Port Orchard, there was a sailboat guy there that helped us tie up once, and we were struggling. And he said, hey man, you see this cleat right here, your midship cleat, this should be the first one you get on the dock. And I looked at him and I thought, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Thing is I didn't know what I was talking about. And he's absolutely right. It's always the midship cleat should be on first. I mean, if you're bringing in the bow first, it should be. If you're bringing the stern in first, it'll probably be that stern cleat. Again, it's gonna depend on the situation. So you got this one on, right? And hopefully you have somebody on the helm steering the boat. Now, you got this one on and you want to bring the stern in to the dock, and I'm standing on the dock. Well, this person at the helm, all they have to do, well, first of all, you slowly bring in the boat in and out of neutral, in and out of gear. Especially with this line slack, it needs to be in and out of gear. You really want to do slow momentum going into that line, otherwise it'll snap something. And then, once this line has got tension on it, that person on the helm can either go straight and in forward in gear, just keeping it idle in gear, and or they can turn away from the dock, so to the left or to the port side in this manner. And what will happen is the boat will squeeze into the dock really nice and easy like that. And then that will give you the opportunity to grab the stern line and secure it either straight down like this, or what you want is this one to go the opposite direction. You want this stern line to go forward opposed to going aft. Now I think in small boats you can get away with these lines going this way, the stern line's going the opposite direction. It's not what you want. It's not going to be right. The boat might move in a direction you don't want it to. You really want it to go forward. And technically that would be considered a spring line if it's going this direction, but that's okay. In this case, this boat doesn't have a spring line, and you understand the point that I'm getting at, I think. But this way is okay, or this way. This is going to control your stern, and it's going to prevent the boat from moving forward and back. And the fact that you have this guy tied and the spring line tied forward, this guy here, it's going to keep your boat at the dock. Really, in a quick tie-up situation, this is all you're going to need. This is all you're going to need is these two guys right here. Once you have these two guys set, then you can put a bow line. If it's quick type, you probably don't even need a bow line. But Yeah, if it's long term, put a bow line, it'll help. This spring line here, let's go to another video. Okay, so this spring line here, typically on larger boats, if they have the cleat, this stern line here will be straight, right? And then this spring line will be, you know, going forward, like I was showing with that stern line. And the two spring lines should crisscross on the dock. That's another thing. When you're coming in, you're gonna want to look for whatever so you probably, some cases, they're not gonna have enough cleats to do this the right way. I've seen that happen before. Mainly, like I said, it's going to be dependent on what boat's in front of you, what boats are behind you. So if you have the space, this is the way you're gonna want to do it. If you don't have space, well, you might have to do some go to some extreme just to get the boat tied up. Keep in mind, the way he did it was he turned his drive towards the dock in a starboard tie-up, and he went in forward and reverse. Like I said, I see that causing an issue under current, but again, you're gonna have to experiment. And this situation is gonna go the same with the other side. You just always want this forward spring line tied up. Back on that cleat situation, go to the whatever cleat that is available that's going to fit the boat in, and you can just tie it up there, bring the stern in, right? And once you got the stern and the spring line here situated, at least somebody in their hands on the dock, then you can move the boat forward and tie these off at acceptable tying off points on the dock wherever you got. If you have to go this way, I mean, yeah, just get the boat tied up to the dock. But what you do want is you want it to go this way. It's not going to be the end of the world if it is like this. As long as you've got both lines, you should be okay. In that situation, you really want this tie-off point to be as further forward as possible. And then, like, let's say you can only tie it off to the nose of the bow. Well, you want it tied here, and then you want the line coming back this way towards the aft side of the boat. It keeps that tension on the bow in this direction. Okay, so let's say you're getting ready to leave the dock, right? And let's say you got a bow line connected, which is going to be imaginary. You've got the spring line connected, right? And so we got our spring line. We got a stern line, right? We're not going to mess with that other line in the middle. It's not really that important. But okay, so you're tied up to the dock. You're ready to go. And the wind is pushing into your bow. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to use that stern line to spring out, right? So if you have a bow line, you untie that, right? You tell your crew you want the bow line off first, and then this forward spring line can go, or well, it's a midship spring line. So the bow, the spring line, and then you just leave this guy on, right? And the guy in the helm is going to want to back up straight. And when you back up straight, and especially the wind's going to be pushing the bow out, that's going to be a really easy situation. It's not always that simple. But you're going to want to have a fender here, because the boat will touch the dock here. And what's going to happen is you back up into this line, and it's going to pivot off, and the bow is going to swing out. And once the bow swings out enough, right, it's best, in my opinion, if you just go straight and get some clearance with your stern portion of the boat here. Get some clearance, because as soon as you turn away from the dock, especially hard port, then this portion of the boat is going to swing out and you're going to scrape the dock. But if you go get the bow way out, right, have a lot of patience with it, especially if somebody's got access to get on the boat back here. Get that bow way out. Use this spring line to your advantage, making sure it's going this way, right, and you're backing up into it. Get that bow way out, and then you can pull straight away from the dock. This person can undo the line here, jump on the stern, no big deal. Let's say the wind's coming this way, right, pushing the boat into the dock, and you're trying to get off the dock, right? You've got this guy here, same setup, right? You got this guy and this guy, starting over again, and you have a bow line, okay? So in this situation, what lines do you want to take off first? Well, you always want to get that bow line, that imaginary bow line that I don't have. That one needs to come off first, because you really don't need that one anyway. And then the stern line would be the next one to go, okay? And then you leave this spring line on, your midship spring line. So you got your stern off, your bow off. This is the only guy left on. The wind is pushing this way, right? The wind is pushing this way. You put it into forward gear, right? And the boat is gonna pull along this, and you turn hard starboard. And what's gonna happen is your stern is gonna swing out like this, right? Once it gets to a safe spot, the thing is you're gonna have to compensate with somebody holding on to this. You might not always be able to do this. That's kind of why I think what Mark did was he probably just undid all the lines and then he reversed out, and when he reverses straight, the boat just backs off of the dock. But the spring line, if you go forward and hard to the dock, it'll allow you to kick that stern out, undo this line, and then you can back straight away from the dock. At least that would help get to that point, and then you can, you know, go how you are. Okay, so you want to learn some knots, and this is going to be mainly for your fenders, but you can use this on anything on a boat. It's called a clove hitch. Everybody does it. It's really easy. First, you can go either direction. It doesn't matter. It's more based upon the load that you want it to pull from, but either way will work. It's just some ways it works better than others. So you want to wrap it around once, right? And then when you do that, you want this to cross right here, okay? So this is still straight down, and then when you bring this guy back up here, you want to go under there, right? And you see how that little pattern is? Right there? Right there, that's a clove hitch. And all you do is suck it up, and then, so that's really easy to tie up, and it's easy to untie. Now, it's like this, right? Now, let's say you want to lock it down. It's called a half hitch. You just wrap it around this guy, right? And then through. And that is a half hitch. And that will not come off. So when you're tying up your fenders along the rails, that's the guy you want to use as a clove hitch. You can use it on a lot of different applications. But that's just kind of a basic one. You want to get really good at it so it's really quick to tie it on, tie it off. Like I said, it'll go either direction around this, we'll call it a pipe or a line, whatever.